Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Unreal Engine 5.1 has just officially been released and there's so much new stuff to cover, so without further ado, let's go ahead and just get right into the video. The biggest updates and changes inside of Unreal Engine 5.1 is that they've made improvements to Nanite and Lumen to support games to run at 60 FPS on next-gen consoles and capable PCs. Epic has also added support for Nanite for material-driven animations and deformations via world position offset as well as opacity masks. So this basically means trees, grass, and foliage have nanite support, and this opens the door for a lot of things. For one, we can have insanely detailed grass and trees, and a really good example of this is in the Megascans tree. Every single leaf on here is a mesh. This is inside of Unreal Engine 5.1 with the nanite enabled, and so compared to traditional games where the entire branch is a couple of different polygons, now you can have an entire model for each and every individual leaf. Now a lot of you guys might be watching this video wondering what is the difference, what's the improvement, and literally any modern game that you play you can see the tree in the level like a billboard or single image, which is then swapped out for the actual model. But with nanite we can now just enable that on all of our trees and grass, and you won't have any of that pop in or flat tree billboards off in the distance. In Unreal Engine 5.1 they've added large world coordinates to support world partition. Basically large world coordinates allows you to create a massive map while maintaining precision. You can think of the size of like a solar system, kind of like a space simulator. So they've raised the default world size from 22 kilometers to 88 million kilometers. In other open world news, we have HLOD support for water bodies. This means that if you're making an open world map with the water body plugin, you can now use HLODs or better performance. I mean, this one's a big one for me particularly because I am actually working on a survival game course that uses the water body system. But I was running into a lot of bugs trying to generate those HLODs for my map, but now with Unreal Engine 5.1 that shouldn't be any issue. By the way, check out my multiplayer survival game course if you guys are interested in learning game development in Unreal Engine 5. I show you how to make a multiplayer survival game featuring an inventory system, crafting system, harvesting and gathering system. There's so much stuff that you'll learn from this course, and if you get the course today you can get access to a big early access discount. Check out smartpoly.teachable.com or check out the link in the description below if you guys are interested. Now we also have various updates for virtual production, broadcast, and live events, including things like a dedicated in-camera VFX editor. So this is a whole new sub-editor inside of Unreal Engine. In addition, they've added some color correction windows as well. So I'm sure a lot of you guys who are in the virtual production field are going to appreciate all these new tools to play with. There's a lot more new things that they've added in regards to that, but you guys can check out the full list of features down in the release notes. It's linked in the description below. Now in terms of animation, rigging, and modeling, we have first off support for a machine learning deformer. A lot of companies are using Unreal Engine to create, short movies with 3D characters, and a common issue that you run into with 3D models is whenever you move a bone around to animate the character, you get this sort of stretching wherever you're manipulating that bone. So here on this image you can see the stretching on the character's mesh, and then on the left you can see all this detail that's being lost. So basically this machine learning deformer versus the traditional linear skinning. So this is a big improvement for folks creating short films with Unreal Engine where they need that precision control over their character's model and how the bones deform their mesh. In terms of modeling, we also have support for a built-in UV editor. It comes with a couple of tools for laying out and auto unwrapping your 3D models. In Unreal Engine 5.1, we're also getting some significant updates in terms of physics. So the Chaos Destruction system is receiving some updates for geometry collections, which are basically like fractured meshes. They now support things like mesh paint mode, so you can paint vertex colors and textures onto these fractured geometries. Lumen now supports a two-sided foliage shading model, and this is very important for things like trees and grass. Lumen reflections now enable a single layer water with force reflections on mirrors, as well as some improvements in the hardware ray tracing mode, boost support for multi-view and end display, and much more. And the path tracer and GPU light masks will now get updates. GPU light masks now supporting sky atmosphere, stationary lights, volumetric shadows for stationary objects. And in terms of VFX, we also have a new additional feature where you can have a overlay material assigned to any static or skeletal mesh. And in other VFX updates, we have some new additions to the Niagara Fluid Simulation plugin. We have a tricubic interpolation mode, which can be used to add extra details to simulations without increasing the overall resolution. There's also this new plugin for creating clothing that creates real-time wrinkles with relatively small runtime overhead memory, and the results are pretty convincing. I mean, if we can get cloth simulation like this inside of Unreal Engine, it's going to be a game changer for not only games, but users who create short films. The Mass Entity plugin, which is for populating large-scale worlds with crowds in the tens of thousands, has received some updates and have moved out of experimental status to production ready for smart objects and state tree. And the Mass Entity plugin is now in beta. Smart objects are essentially just objects placed in the level that AI agents and players can interact with. These are things like cars in the Matrix Awakens city sample. And then the state tree is a general-purpose state machine that combines the selectors from behavior trees with states and transitions, which enables you to create highly performant logic for your AI NPCs. Now in the audio world, we have some updates, including a waveform editor, so you can edit sound waves within the Unreal Editor. You can trim, fade, normalize, other waveform adjustments that you'd normally have in any other program. And interesting enough, they added a plugin called Soundscape, which is in beta. Soundscape procedurally generates ambient sounds such as rustling foliage, chirping birds, bustling traffic, which are streamed as the player moves around the world. And when it's set up, the plugin manages and composes these sounds autonomously and removes the need to manually create them. There's some minor improvements in the general Unreal Engine editor UI. Things like the world outliner has improvement to make it easier to find actors in the outliner window by collapsing the various contents of your folders. For artists, we have this new pattern tool that allows you to place multiple selected meshes in a line, grid, or circle in various different patterns. You have parameters for tiling, interpolating, translation, rotation, and scale, and you can merge the result. Another neat feature in the realm of physics is we have this physics control component, which is currently experimental, but this provides a means for you to add simple, intuitive, and powerful physically based controls to a blueprint. You can take advantage of the emergent physical motion of static and skeletal meshes while retaining an artistic and gameplay control. And they even added an update to the Content Examples project, which is a sample project. You can check out all of the different things that the physics control component has to offer inside of the content samples. In terms of animation, we have support for motion matching, which is experimental. Under the Pose Search plugin, we now have features for the new motion matching animation blueprint node, which is a dynamic alternative to state machines that you can use to build character locomotion and animation systems. And this is something that I personally will have to check out because I always have issues implementing a realistic character locomotion system. We also have a new animation sub-editor called the Rewind Debugger, which allows you to replay and record animation data to debug your character's animation system. Control Rig now has support for constraints, so as you can see in this little video, you can constrain 2 different points to a weapon, and this is going to make it a lot easier to animate or pose characters using Control Rig. New additional properties have been added to the IK rig and retargeter. You can control things like the length, width, and splay of IK goals, and you can use this to adjust the stride and overall stance of a retargeted character. Now, me personally, I still have yet to mess around with the new IK retargeter, but from the results that I've seen, it looks like it's a lot easier to retarget animations from 2 different skeletal meshes with entirely different bone structure. And now there are obviously a lot more updates and features that have been added that are just too much to cover in this entire video. But if you guys are interested, I'll leave a link to the full release notes down in the description below, and you guys can check all that out. Let me know what new features or updates you guys are most interested in. What do you guys want to see me check out here on the channel? And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. Check out my multiplayer survival game course if you guys are interested in learning game development within Unreal Engine 5. Link in the description below. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.